promise to bring inflation, Mr. President, you promised to bring inflation down. It's now at its highest level in 3 years. Are your policies not working? What's happening?
Policies are working incredibly.
The expectation is not really for inflation to get much better throughout most of 2026. That's the story that you're seeing in these reports. Essentially, there's going to be some tariff inflation passing through on the good side. Now you have energy prices impacting services. It probably just isn't going to get that much better from here. And I think investors know that. They're focused on the AI story and hoping this inflation story doesn't get too much worse.
A stunning admission. Even Fox News are openly conceding the fact that it is highly unlikely Donald Trump will lower inflation, despite the president himself trying to lie his way out of a disaster run-in with the press on the White House lawn.
They're working incredibly. If you go back to just before the war, for the last 3 months, inflation was at 1.7%. Now, we had a choice. Let these lunatics have a nuclear weapon. If you want to do that, then you're a stupid person, and you happen to be. I mean, I know you very well.
Another day means another opportunity for the sitting president to berate female reporters with personal insults, while the rest of the press pool just watch on like it's completely normal. Trump lashed out again during another press gaggle after first being questioned about the soaring cost of his White House ballroom renovation, the project which was originally expected to cost around $200 million, which, if you remember, we were told is fine because private donors are going to fund it. Now, according to the report, the price has doubled to around $400 million, with the broader East Wing modernization project potentially reaching $1 billion. So, as is her job, a female reporter asked about it, and Trump responded by calling her a dumb person.
So what happened is we have a ballroom that's under budget. It's going up right here. I've doubled the size of it because we obviously need that. And we're right now on budget, under budget, and ahead of schedule. I doubled the size of it, you dumb person. It's double the size. You are not a smart person. Right over here. Wait a minute. Right over here. And based on a lot of things that have happened over the last year, we doubled the size of the ballroom. So we're going to have a ballroom that's appropriate for the White House. We doubled the size. The ballroom now is ahead of schedule, and it's a little bit under budget, depending on the finishes that we use.
Before then pivoting to another female reporter, approaching her with equal venom and depravity to a question she asked on the Iran war and inflation.
Iran is a nuclear weapon. You're not considering the financial impact of this war on Americans?
The most important thing by far, including whether our stock market, which, by the way, is at an all-time high, but including whether or not our stock market goes up or down a little bit, the most important thing by far is Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
What about the pressure on Americans and prices right now?
Every American understands.
Americans, how they're feeling about
every American. Are you listening to me? Every American understands, and they just had a poll. Like 85%, which is surprising. It's only that they understand that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If Iran has a nuclear weapon, the whole world would be in trouble because they happen to be crazy. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. Now, if the stock market goes up or down a little bit, the American people understand it. When it's over, you're going to have a massive drop in the price of oil, which a lot of people thought would be higher. And I mean, it was $100. It was $99 yesterday, which is low, which is relatively low. When this war is over, oil is going to drop. The stock market's going to go through the roof. And truly, I think we're in the golden age right now. You're going to see a golden age like we've never seen before.
Again, another female journalist who questioned his economic policies amid inflation linked to the Iran war, and he called her stupid. The thing is, it appears that even his lies were too much for Fox News to swallow, as they were forced to admit live on air that it is very unlikely that Donald Trump will bring down inflation, especially before the midterms. And if Trump's reaction to Fox News coverage over the weekend is anything to go by, this won't go over well.
Now the expectation is not really for inflation to get much better throughout most of 2026. That's the story that you're seeing in these reports. Essentially, there's going to be some tariff inflation passing through on the good side. Now you have energy prices impacting services. It probably just isn't going to get that much better from here. And I think investors know that. They're focused on the AI story and hoping this inflation story doesn't get too much worse.
If you remember over the weekend, Trump cyber attacked another female news host, Jackie Heinrich, after she interviewed Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna on air. Trump erupted on Truth Social, furious that she did not challenge Khanna to his liking.
Trump lashing out at Fox News, accusing the network of undermining MAGA and the Republican Party, and claiming that MAGA Republicans hate Fox. He blames Fox for making it hard for Republicans to win elections. Donald Trump posted the following: "You could listen to Fox News all day long, absolutely devour it. But then when you hear sleazebags like Congressman Ro Khanna, a wolf in sheep's clothing, lie, 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 and lie again without any pushback or competent rebuttal from an anchor, in this case, Jackie Heinrich, the entire common sense dialogue that has been going on all day at Fox is completely obliterated. Why would Fox put scum like this on, or others, such as low-rated Bill Maher, who gains credibility by constant referral to him as though he were a liberal source of wisdom, or very low IQ Hakeem Jeffries, who considers the Supreme Court illegitimate and probably hates our country, no matter how fair and balanced the day's news at Fox may be. The end result is destroyed when professional liars, conmen, and liberal crooked politicians. This is why MAGA Republicans, who are actually close to 100% of the party, hate Fox, despite the wonderful contributions made by so many of their great anchors and commentators. Hard to win elections like this. Donald J. Trump.
The topic of their conversation included rising inflation, the Iran war, and the fact that the administration still are withholding Epstein files.
We're still going to win the House. The reason we're going to win the House is gas prices are up, food prices are up. People don't like the fact that we're in a war in Iran. They don't like the fact that the Trump administration hasn't released the Epstein files or held the Epstein class accountable. But I was very disappointed in the Virginia Supreme Court overturning an election. And then you have the Supreme Court basically taking away black districts in the Deep South that Dr. King and John Lewis fought for. So this isn't about winning the House. We're going to win back the House anyway. This is about reversing some of the progress we made in the civil rights movement. Well, there was an election. I believe that the voters of Virginia clearly spoke, and the Virginia Supreme Court should have deferred to what the Virginia voters wanted. But the bigger problem, in my view, I mean, I'm opposed to that Virginia decision, but the bigger problem is the Supreme Court, which is basically saying, you can take away Jim Clyburn's district in South Carolina. I mean, think about that. For 100 years after Jim Crow, we did not have a single black member in South Carolina. The first black member after the 1890s was Jim Clyburn. And now the Supreme Court is saying you can take away that district, so you may not have any black member from South Carolina, where slavery actually came through the port of Charleston. That is not about politics. It's about history. And that's what I find really concerning.
And I mean, listen, when Donald Trump's lashing out at hosts on the network that has been one of the most favorable media environments to him throughout both administrations, you know he's panicking, right? And it fits a broader pattern that we are seeing week after week, with Trump just lashing out at anyone, but mostly female reporters and journalists. If you remember, he attacked Fox host Jessica Tarlov after she dared to point out his dire approval numbers, calling her one of the, quote, least attractive and talented people on television.
In an effort to have something new to say today, we could replay the tapes of all of the Republicans that have been critical of this, or at least had some very serious questions that I think is fair when your country is engaged in a war that hasn't been pitched, sold to the American public, and when the approval is so low. And what I think about this evening's address is that the president is frustrated by the other messengers who have been out here talking about this, that he gets the feedback that the goals have not been properly communicated, that the American public doesn't understand why he went in, why he did it this way, what we have accomplished and what the exit strategy is, and that he thinks he is his best advocate and the best advocate for the American military and for our mission there. And so he's out there doing it. And the 4 goals that have been outlined, at least in what they leaked to the press, are even different from what Secretary Rubio said just 2 days ago. Because on Rubio's list, he did not have anything about a nuclear weapon. And that's back on the list. Because that is the most important thing. That's the thing that people can identify with, where you say you can't have a nuclear Iran. Now, a lot of swirl about what the JCPOA had gotten us and whether we could have done a deal that was reminiscent of that, plus some extra checks. I know that there are critics of that deal, even on the Democratic side. That's out there, but he is undoubtedly being forced into this position because of, and he poo-pooed it, but over $4 for gas. His approval rating in now every poll that we've seen this week is in the 30s. We're not even talking about the low 40s. The CNN poll, he's minus 24 with men, minus 2 with white voters who don't have a college degree, minus 17 with seniors, and 65% say that his policies are making their economic conditions worse. That is unsustainable. Not even if you're thinking about a midterm. You just can't go through the rest of an administration like that.
So the president's right when it comes to military targets. However, the president is on the clock with the American people. New Fox News polling shows the president's approval rating taking a hit as gas prices rise from a month ago. 64% of registered voters disapprove of the president's performance on Iran. 71% of people disapprove of the handling of inflation. 66% disapprove of the performance on the economy. Now, all these are connected by oil, which can put pressure on increased prices. And that's why there's so much attention on the Strait of Hormuz.
I mean, the misogyny is vile, and he never responds with factual corrections. It's always personal attacks. And that matters, right? Because it reveals the hierarchy in Trump's response. Facts are always secondary. Loyalty is primary. And when women are challenging him and he attacks them on personal terms, the problem for Trump is it just looks like he's losing control. Because if your response to basic scrutiny is to insult the journalists, well, it suggests what we know is to be true, which is that he doesn't have a better answer. And if the insults are now aimed not just at hostile outlets, but also at Fox News hosts, it suggests that this bubble is about to bust.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.